At Georgia Southern University, all undergraduate students who are interested in pursuing a degree in education are required to complete the pre-professional block. The pre-professional block, or PPB, is a block of 3 3-credit-hour classes and a 0-credit-hour practicum. The pre-professional block is unique to Georgia Southern University. While all students in USG schools are required to take the 3 classes that are part of the PPB, our field experience is a little different than what's offered at other institutions. The GSU Smart Scholarship team decided to go ahead and utilize the structure that was in place for PPB as part of our process for identifying potential smart scholars. We don't have the smart scholars take all 3 of the classes that are in the PPB simply because they have such an intensive science and math class load, but we do have them take 1 class and the practicum. Our rationale for requiring potential smart scholars to complete the practicum and Exploring Learning and Teaching, an introductory educational psychology course, is to give these strong math and science students an introduction to education courses and field placements before we award them with a scholarship, so we can help them determine if teaching is the right field for them. We include evaluations of the practicum and student grades in the education class as part of our criteria for selecting smart scholars into our program. So I'd like to tell you a little bit more about pre-professional block, how it works, and what the students are required to do while they're in the field. As I said, it's a 51-hour field experience, and we place the students in a school in a partner school with a clinical supervisor. That is somebody out in the field who is a practicing classroom teacher who will supervise ours as they're working in their classroom. We also assign each student to a university supervisor. That's an on-campus contact person who can help them if there's any problems in the field, if they have any questions, if they just need to get a better sense of what they're supposed to do while they're out there in the field. So what is it that PPB students do during their practicum? They primarily observe and assist the teacher in any way that they are able to do so. I won't go into a lot of detail about that right now because we have Rachel and Audrey who are going to talk to you a little bit about their PPB practicum experience. We do encourage the teachers of the on-campus classes, in this case the Exploring Learning and Teaching class, to encourage their students to work in the field and to do things in their practicum that supplement the learning that they're getting on campus. So we might have a teacher, for example, who's talking about motivation, have the students engage in some sort of observation activity in the field that requires the PPB practicum student to observe the motivational levels of a class of students and then come back to the Georgia Southern class and report out on this motivation. Prior to sending any of our PPB students to the field, we go through an orientation process to get them ready to be successful in the field. The orientation process consists of 3 orientation sessions, and they're all conducted by different personnel in the College of Education. I conduct, as the PPB coordinator, the first orientation for all students, and we call this just Orientation 1, and this is sort of everything you need to know about PPB to be successful. In this particular orientation, I try to let the students know what is expected of them, what they can expect of the teacher, and how we will be evaluating them as they complete their field experience. The PPB practicum is primarily evaluated on the student's level of professionalism. And by professionalism, I mean, can the student be in the field every day that they're supposed to be in the field? Can they be there on time? Can they dress appropriately? Can they interact with students appropriately? Can they interact with teachers, with the administrators, with all other school personnel in a professional, appropriate manner? Can the students complete assignments as they're supposed to complete assignments? Can they take initiative in the classroom? Are they getting all of their observations done when they're supposed to get them done? And we do let the students know up front that these are the things that we're looking for. Now keep in mind that we're talking about, for the most part, sophomores in college who really haven't considered what it's like to be in the professional world. So when I talk about being in a place on time, I don't just say go out and be on time. We talk about precisely what that means because experience has shown that students' version of on time and our interpretation of on time might be 2 very different things. We also talk to the students about professional dress. I try not to leave anything uncovered. We talk to the students about appropriate footwear, appropriate clothing. We ask them to not wear things too tight, too short, too low. Anything that is revealing should not be worn out in the field. And some of our students, even though they hear this and I present them with images of what we expect, still struggle a little bit in figuring out exactly what is professional dress. I talk about professional language. While college students might say something sucks or they are pissed off or screwed, I encourage them to expand their vocabulary and talk like an adult. Something is terrible or they are very angry or they were treated unfairly. It's also important for our entry-level students to recognize the importance of maintaining student confidentiality by not talking about their students in public. I emphasize just how well connected rural South Georgians are by recounting a story of a GSU student who was working at a concession stand and made a comment to her friend about a child's ADHD. Word got back to the school about the Georgia Southern student's comment, and the school requested that the GSU student be removed from her field placement. Another thing that we talk about in PPB orientation is social networking sites. I try to make sure my students understand that no matter what privacy safeguards they have available, no matter how discreet they think they're being, their social networking site is open for other people to look at. We've actually had 2 students who were removed from the field at Georgia Southern because of information that was found on their social networking site. One student had posted what he considered to be a joke about child molestation on his site, and when school personnel saw it, they asked for him to be removed immediately from the field, and they also told us that they would be taking out a restraining order on him if they saw him anywhere near the school again. Another important element of the Orientation 1 session is the discussion of a criminal background check. We let our students know that they are expected and required to complete a criminal background check before their first field experience, and we talk to them about how to get that done and what the ramifications are if there are any negative findings in that background check. At Orientation 2, the advisors from our Student Success Center talked to the students about the Code of Ethics for Educators in the state of Georgia, and they also talked to them about professional organizations and the importance of starting to belong to a teaching professional organization even as a student. Finally, during the 3rd week of classes, there's a 3rd orientation session that is held with the university supervisor. And by this time, the students know who they're assigned to as a university supervisor. For all the potential SMART scholars, it will be the instructor for their Exploring Learning and Teaching class. And the university supervisor gets with the students and talks about directions for this, of how to get out to the schools where they're placed, because we do place in a 60-mile radius of our campus. They also review any expectations for the field that they have and talk to them about Orientation 1, just reviewing anything that the students might still have questions about that we talked about in Orientation 1. Despite our best efforts to prepare students to be successful in the PPB practicum, we do have students who struggle in the practicum. And I want to talk to you just a little bit about the development process that we use. We have university and clinical supervisors evaluate the students both at midterm and at the end of the semester. If at either the midterm or end of the semester a student is identified as needing improvement in one or more areas, the student is brought into my office to have a conference with me, and I'll try to work with them on strategies for changing behaviors and attitudes so they can be more successful in the practicum. If this happens at midterm, we can often have a conference, develop some strategies, and the student typically completes the semester successfully. Occasionally, problems are not resolved, or I don't hear about a problem until the end of the semester, and then the student will have to repeat the practicum. We still have a one-on-one conference, and I offer constructive feedback for completing the practicum successfully in a future semester. We have 3 stated purposes of the PPB and the PPB practicum. The first purpose is that we want our students to begin to go out in the field and to see what it looks like to be in a classroom from the perspective of a teacher rather than from the perspective of a student. We think that this is important for them to help them with their decision-making process to determine if teaching is really the field for them. The second purpose of the PPB is for the students to begin developing their observation, critical thinking, and reflection skills. We want our students to think about what they see in the field and to question and to reflect on that and to think about how they might be a better teacher in the future when they have an opportunity to be in their own classroom. The third stated purpose of PPB is that we use it as a gatekeeping tool for admission to the teacher ed program for our undergraduate students. But, as I've already said, we also use it similarly as a gatekeeping tool for admission to the Smart Scholar program at Georgia Southern. So having said all this, I will now turn the floor over to Audrey and Rachel to talk to you about their experiences in PPB.